Welcome back to Coach to You, everyone. I'm your host, Coach Regina, and I'm back with another video. Today's topic, we will discuss the intersection of societal conditioning and mental health. Now, this involves how, cultural expectations, social norms, and other different things influence our mental health. It impacts our thoughts, our feelings, our behavior as it relates to success, relationships, gender roles, even our body image. So today we're going to jump into this topic. It's a very touchy topic, but guess what? I'm up for it. So let me go ahead and give my disclaimer. Although I'm a student of psychology, I am not a licensed health professional. All content and information on this channel stems from my own personal experience and extensive research and is for informational and educational purposes only and should not be considered professional medical advice. If you feel you have a mental health condition, seek the guidance of a medical professional. All right, guys, like I explained earlier, the impact of societal conditioning on our mental health. Sometimes these particular pressures can contribute to stress, anxiety, and other mental health challenges as individuals find themselves faced with the pressures to conform. You've seen it. You're on social media and you're scrolling and you begin to see other people's lifestyle. In that, the mind instantly goes into the different parts of the subconscious programming for information that relates or does not relate to that particular image that you're seeing. So in that, you find yourself wanting to find out more about this person, uh, looking at their profile, different things like that, and before long you've been on social media for 2 hours. I too found myself in that state at a point in my life. It hasn't been there, for a couple of years because I actually find myself on social media maybe once or twice a month, if you will, and it's mainly to post content, check in with family members, and then I'm pretty much off. I found out that social media was actually kind of affecting my mental health in some way because of those parts of our brain that begin to try to resonate with people and their lifestyle. But what if it's all a facade? What if our the aspect of putting on for social media is just a front? A lot of times when you feel like those people's lifestyles are happy and yours is not, you could be just in a state in your life right now where you are going through healing. Comparing yourself to someone can also lead to you feeling shame, regrets, and it can also bring up past, trauma that has not been healed in your life. And this is not good for your mental health, okay? As I mentioned to you before, I've been there. So I know what that feels like, okay? So we talked about the stress, the anxiety, and the other difficulties as you feel pressure for the aspect of trying to conform to societal conditioning. Let's talk about the impact of success on your mental health. How the relentless pursuit of societal definitions, such as success, if you will, as it relates to career, wealth, marriage, family, can lead to burnout, anxiety, and depression. As you're trying to conform to, those different norms, you have to realize that many of us come up in different, what is it called? Let's say stages of life. They call them like some of us are 80s babies, or some of us are 90s babies, or some of us are 70s, if you will. And that particular pressure to succeed, some of it comes from how we were brought up, right? How your family, placed their expectations on you and try to make you feel like if you pursue this route, you'll be successful. If you pursued how grandpa did it, you'll be successful. If you go to school and get all these different degrees, then you'll be successful. That's a lot of pressure on a person, especially like I mentioned, coming up in a day and age that we come up from, that we didn't look at it from a perspective of I want to be like this, like grandpa in that, or grandma in that regard. A lot of it, we came from our rap music and the love music that we listen to. We wanted to be in love. We wanted to, some of us, we would listen to rap music. I know for myself, I would feel like I was a drug dealer back then, and things like that. And so that's how, different societal, input can influence us. You know what I mean? And so again, you get those different informations from your parents, from your grandparents, and things like that, and then you feel that aspect of wanting to conform. Okay, that pressure, when it's not able to be lead up to, or what they call it, I can't hold up to that pressure, if you will, then it can lead to depression. It can lead to anxiety. It can lead to feelings of inadequacy and low self-worth and things like that. Let me tell you, a lot of people have been there. Children have found themselves, just trying to do it like dad did, trying to do it like grandpa did it, and so forth. And what happens is, the more you try to feel those pressures and try to fill that void with them, the more you lose sight of who you really are and what it is that you want in life. Okay? Take time to find yourself examining your own desires, your own aspirations, things that make you happy. For me, myself, I didn't go to college, when I was younger. I didn't start college until I was like 36 years old, and here it is, 8 years later, I'm already finishing up my degrees, and I enjoy college. I enjoy school. But if I would have done it then, when there was a lot of pressure on me, I probably would have been doing something like nursing, or business management, or things like that. And that's not what I want to do. I enjoy helping people. And so studying psychology is something that really brings me a lot of joy. Okay? So that's my encouragement in that regard. Two is societal conditioning as it relates to gender roles. How gender roles and expectations impact our mental health. These include areas like gender-based violence, societal expectation for men and women, as well as the impact on your self-esteem. As I mentioned, growing up in a day age, the 80s and 90s, and 70s, if you will, there's a lot of pressure on genders to be able to conform to what is normal. A lot of it stems from our religious upbringing. I know I grew up in Baptist upbringing, and so we were taught, young girls don't wear, short skirts, and they don't dress like boys, and different things like that. And so that was a lot of pressure, because I had friends growing up, and many of them, they wanted to dress like they wanted to. So in my household, there was, I had the religious background from what you do and what you don't do, but some of my friends, they didn't have religious upbringing. And so they would dress like tomboys and things like that. And I wanted to wear those clothes. I don't think it really related to anything in terms of like my gender and how I felt at that time, but that's what I enjoyed. But because of the pressure from my household, and what was right and what was wrong, I often didn't appropriate it, and that made me feel a lot of anxiety and a lot of stress and things like that. And now that I think of it, I think that much of it came from the fact that I grew up around 10 boys. My guardian at the time, she had 10 boys and one girl. And so I think seeing how they dressed actually played a pivotal role in how I wanted to dress at that time. Plus, seeing my peers dressed in that regard, I wanted to wear tennis shoes and jeans and pants and things like that. I didn't really want to wear dresses and skirts. But that's how I grew up, and essentially that's how I began to appropriate that norm. So for you, you may have people in your life that have their own expression of their gender normality, if you will. Learning to be able to express yourself and be acceptable to yourself is what brings about that sense of inner happiness. Until you begin to resonate with, the universal field of creation and how the creator speaks to you, you won't be able to fully grasp what is right and wrong from that particular standpoint. All the other input becomes filter and a bunch of nuance. Okay. Number three, the influence of social media on mental health. How social media platforms and their curated realities contribute to anxiety. I kind of hinted on that a little bit earlier. But the aspect of comparison, body image issues, and loneliness, that all helps, it all causes an individual to feel as though they don't belong, if you will. So scrolling social media for hours at a time, trying to find that point of reference where you feel like you belong, oftentimes is what's happening in the psyche without you realizing. Okay, and if you notice, by the time you get off of it, you feel some sense of peace, if you will. Some, like I mentioned, feel anxiety, further frustration, and other things of that nature. But overall, that illusion of perfection that you're seeking does not fill the void, and it doesn't make up the gap for the aspect of needing wholeness in your mental health. Social media impacts our mental health in such a way that it causes us to disconnect from the world. I've heard friends that they'll tell you, I haven't been on social media for a while, it was making me feel depressed and things like that. That in itself can cause an individual to check out from the world. What we have to come to the realization is that everybody has their own life, okay? Everyone has their own soul's correction. Being able to understand how the universe speaks to you in that soul correction at the specific time as you're going through life's evolution is important. Trying to fit yourself in a mold of, perfection based off of what you're finding out is not going to bring about joy. It's only going to lead to more comparison, more feelings of inadequacy, and more feeling the need to validate externally. Okay, there's been times where people have gotten themselves into debt to I want to say, just if you could think of it, put it in the comments. But there's been a lot of influence from the need to try to fill voids based off of what you're finding on social media. On my last podcast, I spoke about building resiliency. Understandably, resiliency is a skill that is extremely necessary when it comes to addressing mental well-being. If you're trying to find that wholeness from social media, you're not doing the work to build resiliency, because that means we have a void. That void is not going to be filled in that way. Okay? Taking time to sit with yourself. We talked about meditation, practicing mindfulness, going back, and addressing those past hurts. Okay? Writing it down. Finding out what is your soul telling you that is broken. All of us, like I mentioned earlier, all of us have our soul corrections, and trying to, find that, in those voids, in those three that I mentioned, is not going to make you happy. Okay? It's due to the need to feel something that we end up feeling what we don't want to feel, which is that pressure to conform. Whether you are a young adult, a parent, a professional, you are navigating any other phases of life just like the rest of us are. Building resiliency should be tailored to your approach of coping, not what you're picking up from past growing up, past trauma, societal conditioning, and the pressures of social media. I have shared with you guys before that it takes courage to reach out for help or to take on the task of implementing cognitive behavioral therapy yourself. Consciously choosing to heal past hurts means you are choosing to no longer follow the masses in their appearance of happiness. True happiness comes from within. I'm realizing that I have my children, I have their father, I have these other different things going on, but what really makes me happy is finding peace and joy in inspiring others. I love to see people overcome their difficulties. I love to see people challenge themselves in areas where they once felt that it was impossible. And if you really want to just be truthful about it, a lot of that impossibility comes from stuff that, your upbringing. We were taught different things surrounding wealth, that money doesn't grow on trees. We were taught that, you don't have friends, that you just have, people that you see every day. So when you grow up, you have these preconditioned, beliefs about, your faith, financial stability, as well as your relationships. And that is a hard pill to try to come back from based off of the information that you've been fed by people that you trusted. It is possible to reprogram the subconscious mind from that information, but it starts with you being able to first realize that it is possible. If you believe that your thoughts are ingrained based off of the information that I shared with you, those different areas, if you believe that your thoughts are ingrained to such a degree that you cannot change or you cannot uproot them, then that's the first problem. Because he who believes he can is right, just as well as he who believes he can't is also right. Okay? So, as I mentioned, it takes courage to reach out for help in implementing cognitive behavioral techniques, like working with a psychologist or a therapist, or doing like I do. I mean, you don't have to do exactly, but inspiring others by sharing your personal stories can also be a form of therapy, as it is for me. Regardless of the approach, I urge you to not suffer in silence or repress feelings of low self worth, depression, anxiety, inadequacy, or intrusive thoughts. You matter. What you're going through is a journey. It's a journey to building resiliency, and it's not a solitary one. It is filled with opportunities for connection. You can meet new people. You can get out and do something that is opposite of your norm, right? What I mentioned earlier was basically those social norms that we've been conditioned with that limits us, and it limits our ability to progress further than what we would have had we not had those things built in us as concrete barriers, if you will. Okay. So when you seek support, you're not only empowering yourself, but you're also inspiring others to embark on their journey of inner healing and personal growth. I like to think of it from the perspective of you hear me talk about it, from time to time, which is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Essentially, we have the need of belonging, the need of feeling loved, the need of feeling validated, the need to feel appreciated. These are normal feelings. When we sit and we soak in solitude, those needs become so problematic that it becomes clinginess over the need to overexpress ourselves, the need for external validation, the need to feel worthy, and the need to also self-medicate. That's another topic that we'll talk about sometime. Okay. So again, I'll give you the 3 pointers that we talked about. The impact of success on your mental health. We discussed how the relentless pursuit of societal definitions of success in your career, wealth, marriage, and family can lead to burnout, anxiety, and depression. We also discussed the societal condition as it relates to gender roles and our need to conform based off of past conditioning of gender-based violence, societal expectation for women and men, and the impact on our self-esteem. We talked about, how you see the role or the lifestyle of those on social media, and you want to try to, become that, if you will, and how that leads to depression and anxiety. We also discussed the influence of social media on mental health and how the illusion of perfection also affects your mental health and your well-being as well. That there is no one size fit all as it relates to your own growth and personal development, as well as your happiness and as well as your desire to become the best version of yourself. Go within. Find that person that is calling out for more, but not from the standpoint of a temporary fix. That is very, very important. I know I've said a lot, but the temporary fix that societal conditioning, our upbringing, as well as what we find out from the external validation, doesn't help us in that regard. Being able to understand that you have your own soul's correction, you have your own path and vision in life, you just have to discover it. That takes time. It takes sitting with yourself. It takes time listening to your inner consciousness to determine what you desire and what makes you happy, right? And finding your inner voice. You have one, and it matters. My name is Coach Regina. I want to thank you guys for listening. Take care.